Watch and burn.
Hey everyone. So tonight I want to discuss Ministry's The Land of Rape and Honey. Now, this was Ministry's, I think it's like their second or third album, and this is sort of when they officially decided to not be a Depeche Mode clone anymore, and they decided to sort of branch out and do their own thing. And would that ever work for them? Because I didn't love Ministry as a synth pop band. I felt that, I don't know, their synth pop stuff, it just doesn't resonate with me at all. It feels like their contemporaries were doing a much better job. Bands like Depeche Mode and whatnot, they did the synth pop thing so much better and so much stronger that when they finally made the decision to incorporate more of like thrashy hard guitars and speedier drums through like this record, this fits Ministry. The synth pop thing, it belongs to other bands, and this sort of sample laden industrial thrash metal shit, this belongs to Ministry. Now, I will argue that even though I love Ministry's use of sampling and I love their drum programming, and I just love 80s industrial, well, late 80s industrial, like The Land of Rape and Honey or so many records from Skinny Puppy, but I will say that overall it does feel like Skinny Puppy does a better job. It feels like Ministry's use of samples and their manipulation of them, it's almost like they're borrowing from Skinny Puppy in a sense, which is really ironic because Al Jourgensen, he went on to produce, or he would pretty much right about the time that this was released, he would be brought on board to produce Skinny Puppy's Rabies, which is like their hardest record and their fastest record and their craziest record. And so it fits because that's what Al Jourgensen always so uniformly brings to the table every time, is that sense of like industrial speediness and like the thrashy guitars and that sort of like hard edge to take on things. But I will say when it comes to the manipulation of samples and whatnot, Skinny Puppy are just so much more adept at it. And I mean, I'm not just saying that because what the hell was that? I'm not just saying that because I really love Skinny Puppy and I've loved them since I was like a little kid. That's true, but I really feel that, Ministry's handling of the samples were solid, but they just didn't pull as much out of them. Like, they didn't drip them dry quite the same way that Skinny Puppy would. And this record plays out incredibly well, but I gotta say, what the problem that I always have with Ministry's records, this record is certainly no exception. The songs are too long. They could easily shave a minute and a half of each one, and it would serve this record so much. Because, like, take Stigmata, which is undoubtedly probably the most famous song off here and one of the best known songs from Ministry. It's a great song, but fuck, it doesn't need to be 5-6 minutes. 3.5. Get in, get out, make your point. But that's the problem with this record, is the songs are just too long. Now, that being said, that with tracks like Stigmata and Hezbollah, then the title track, The Land of Rape and Honey, through, like, I Prefer, especially the second half of this record I found really comes alive. But it's a lot of fun, but the songs that I love, and then the rest just seem to kind of be there. And it's like, this record is just as uneven as anything Ministry's ever done. It seems like that's always my complaint with Ministry. It seems like either the first half of the record is better than the second half, or the second half is better than the first half, and there doesn't seem to be a lot in the ways of balance. Seems to be some random sample-laden filler somewhere in the middle, and then you have standout tracks at the beginning, standout tracks at the end, and there's this void in the center, and that's that. And it's interesting because I went my whole life not really thinking much of this album cover, but I believe it's a burned body from a concentration camp. And Ministry's label were sort of hesitant to release this. And Jourgensen, in retaliation, he was driving from A to B when he came across, I think it was like a roadkill deer or a moose or something, and he cut the head off the fucking thing, and he brought it in to the label. I can't remember what label they're on. It's a big label too. It's like Sire or some shit. He brought it into the head office, down to the art direction, and threw the severed, rotting head of this animal on the art director's desk and said, fine, this is the new cover for the album then. And that's why we have the burned body instead of the rotten animal on the cover. So it's the type of guy Jourgensen is. So, you know, he was a hard-living dude, you know. So you don't want to fuck with him, and not to mention the fact that his talent is massive. But look, I'm going to go. So thank you so much for hanging out with me for 5.5 minutes while I discussed Ministry's 1988 album, The Land of Rape and Honey. Like always, if you like this review, don't forget to do something nice for somebody, but please don't forget that the world is actually a better place because you are in it. I'm going to go. Have a good night.